one more row, or let me just finish this section. The crochet bag itch is back. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Knee Knits. My name is Amy, and here I talk about all things knitting. And today is podcast episode number 40, and I'll be sharing what I've been knitting for the past few weeks. In today's episode, I actually have just 1 week of progress updates because I filmed my last podcast just 1 week ago. I've kind of been enjoying the idea of filming more frequent podcasts so you guys can really get into all of the details of my projects and things don't go too long without having an update. And I also have more than just knitting projects today. I do have 2 new crochet projects to talk about, which is very exciting for me, so we will get right into the projects. I am wearing a recently finished object for today's episode. I am wearing my mini mock neck tank. This is a pattern by Jessie Made Designs, and I knit it out of Sevilla Yarn's Silk Sock in the color Strawberry Fields. I talked a lot about this project last week in podcast episode number 39, so if you're curious about all the details of this top, head over to that episode once you're done watching this. Thank you to Foreo Sweden for partnering with me on today's video. I have been a longtime user of Foreo products, including their Luna Mini 2, which I have used as part of my skincare routine for years. Just a few months back, Foreo sent me their latest UFO device, the Foreo UFO 3. The UFO 3 is a deep facial hydration device that has the benefits of 5 spa facials. It increases skin moisture by 126% and is clinically proven to reduce the appearance of wrinkles in less than 7 days. This device, though little, has a lot of different features packed into it, including warming thermotherapy and cooling cryotherapy. So this surface here gets warm to give yourself a warming spa experience, and it also cools down to give you a cooling and firming experience for your skin. It also features T-sonic massage, which are pulsations that give your skin the ultimate spa treatment. To use the UFO 3, grab one of the Foreo activated masks and attach it to your device. Then, using your Foreo app, download the pre-programmed treatment and hit start, and UFO 3 does the rest. Foreo has a variety of activated masks to use with the UFO 3, so you can pick the perfect treatment for your skin. Glow Addict is my favorite. It gives me such a glowy appearance after just using it for one time. I've noticed a glowier, firmer appearance in my skin. I've really enjoyed the experience using the product, and if you are interested in using the product yourself, Foreo is offering a discount code. If you click the link in my description box, you can get 30% off your UFO 3 device. And for the first 50 people to use the coupon code in the description box, Amy10, you'll get an additional 10% off your device. Thank you, Foreo, for partnering with me on today's video, and now back to the podcast. I'm definitely in the midst of a lot of summer knitting. I told myself at the beginning of the summer I wouldn't knit too many summer projects, and I still don't think I'm knitting too many summer projects, but I've just been really enjoying the idea of having some variety in my projects. I have a lot of fingering weight knits on the needles, or recently finished fingering weight knits off of the needles, and really diving into a lot of different summer yarns. And I have, one of my projects is a winter sweater project to sort of break up the summer knitting. And yeah, so we'll get right into the projects, the works in progress. My first work in progress to talk about is my Cumulus blouse, and the Cumulus blouse is a pattern by Petite Knit. It is a fingering weight raglan top-down t-shirt. The Cumulus Blouse O-Neck. Am I saying Cumulus Blouse? Oh, okay. I meant Cumulus Tee O-Neck. I have no idea what I just said, but Cumulus Tee O-Neck is the same thing. Top-down raglan fingering weight t-shirt with a rounded neckline. The suggested yarn is Knitting for Olive Pure Silk, which is what I'm using. I'm using the color Putty, and I am knitting my t-shirt on 3mm needles. This is my progress thus far. So I have finished knitting the raglan increases, and I have split for sleeves, and once again, we're pretty sunny today. Let me turn this down. Okay, there we go. I think everything, yeah, this is a lot more color accurate. It's not blowing out as much. So I finished the raglan shaping and have since split for sleeves. I think I just split for sleeves. You can see that just barely put these on hold, and it looks super cute so far. I really enjoy raglan constructions. I think they're very engaging, and I just like the steady rhythm of doing raglan increases. I like the line that it forms. I think it looks very like nice and shapely, and this one doesn't have too much positive ease. I'm knitting size small for myself, which should give me about 2.5 inches of positive ease. So it's not like a crazy oversized knit in any sort of way. It's just sort of like I guess neutral ease would be 0 ease, but I feel like this is like a neutral ease kind of pattern where it wears kind of casually. It's not super form-fitting, but it's not super baggy as well. I did conveniently finish the raglan shaping with my first ball of knitting for Olive Pure Silk, so I thought that was the perfect opportunity to go ahead and finish off the neckline before continuing the rest of the pattern. I always like doing the neckline pretty early on in the pattern. Usually when I get to like a break in my yarn, like joining a new yarn ball, I take that opportunity to do the neckline just because it tends to bring everything in a little bit, which sometimes can affect like the sleeve length or the body length. With this t-shirt specifically and the raglan construction, I didn't really think it was gonna affect how the sleeves and the body laid too much, but it was still something I just wanted to get finished to give myself a better visual of what the t-shirt will look like once it's done. The Cumulus Tee has an applied I-cord edging on all of the neckline, like sleeve edging and the hem, and it's pretty easy to follow in the pattern. I think my first I-cord applied edging in any sort of knitting pattern was with the Petite Knit Cumulus Tee, and the way she writes it out in the pattern, it's pretty easy to follow. It does involve picking up all of your stitches first, and then you go around and do the I-cord. This is what it looks like up close. I used the suggested needle size for the I-cord, which was, I think it was 2.75 millimeter. Let me look it up. Oh, 2.5 millimeter needle, or a US 1.5. So I used a 16-inch 2.5 millimeter needle and then did the neckline here. I really like the way it looks. So you can see the increases along the side. This one doesn't really have any like stylistic increases along the neckline that some other patterns might. I know some other patterns, sometimes they leave like 1 or 2 stitches that you increase from on the side that creates like a line here, but this doesn't do that. It just sort of like increases, and then the increases get kind of picked up by the edge, so it is kind of invisible shaping, which I think looks pretty neat and crisp. I thought it was interesting in the pattern, it asks you to try on the t-shirt before you start the neckline, and then says depending on how you like the fit of the current neckline, that determines how you should knit the I-cord, whether you knit it loosely or tightly, which I thought was interesting. I kind of liked the way the neckline was sitting when I tried on the t-shirt, so that meant I should have done the I-cord loosely. If I thought that the neck opening was really big, then I should have tightened it. But it didn't say to change needle size, so I feel like it's kind of an arbitrary, like, oh, do it like loose versus do it tight. I feel like with I-cord bind-offs or applied I-cords, I kind of do them all like the same. I feel like it's tricky to adjust the tension without adjusting the needle size, because I don't know, I just find that a little bit trickier to do. So I kind of like how it turned out, basically following the pattern and not really doing any major adjustments, and maybe I should try this on. All right, I don't have any extra like tubes to try on the body, but you can see the neckline here, and yeah, I kind of like how it sits. Yeah, this is the right way around. So there's the O-neck. It's not too tight, which I like. It's not too loose either. It's not like a big scoop. It's pretty like, I would call it a crew neck. Big fan of knitting this pattern so far. I kind of imagined I would enjoy knitting it. I am a little bit worried about how much more knitting I have to do. Like, I feel like I've been putting a lot of time into this pattern, and the fact that I only just got past the yoke and I still have to do the entire body is maybe a little bit daunting. It's 3 millimeter needles, so this, who knows when it'll get finished, but it's moving along quite well. The next pattern I'm talking about is my Ingrid sweater. It's a pattern by Petite Knit. This is an oversized drop shoulder sweater. It's a worsted weight knit and features all these different stitch patterns in one sweater. Some of the stitch patterning included in the sweater is double moss stitch up here. There's some garter stitch and some eyelet rows. There is some mock cable lattice work, and then also 2x2 ribbing. So a lot going on. It's a very, I don't know how to describe the sweater. It's definitely unique, it's different. I think it's kind of inspired by Guernsey sweaters. The pattern kind of grew on me. It came out a few years ago, and when it first came out, I definitely didn't want to knit it. I don't know, I feel like I didn't like it, but seeing since a lot of different people's projects and how it wears, you know, it's very casual, oversized, cozy. I I don't know, I really want to knit it. So here I am. I've cast on, which is exciting. Let me talk about the yarn that I've used, or that I am using. So this is Valley Yarns Northampton. This is a 100% Peruvian wool. This is a worsted weight. It is 100 grams in this ball, and there are 247 yards in this ball. The color is Ocean Heather. This is a heathered sort of teal blue green. I always talk about how it shows up a little bit more of a royal blue on camera, but in person there's a little bit more of like a green tone to it. The pattern suggests a mostly DK weight wool and mohair combination to get to the worsted weight. I didn't really want to do mohair for this sweater. I had this in stash and thought it would be a great base for a pattern with so much texture and different stitches. It has great stitch definition. It's just your classic worsted weight yarn with a pretty tight twist. I think it's 4-ply, maybe it's 4-ply, if you can see there. And here's mine. So you start with the back. So it's drop shoulder, and this is a pretty standard drop shoulder construction where you start with the back. This method, this pattern uses the method where you cast on the entire amount of stitches and then you use short rows to shape the shoulders. So you can see here that this sort of angles downward, and you have this center panel here, and then the other side angles downwards as well. So far it's been really fun to knit. I really feel like I can sense the one more row, or let me just finish this section kind of mentality that's going to push me through this project maybe kind of quickly. This has also been such a relief to have on my needles because it's worsted weight, it's a wool. It's so much nicer than my summer knits. I do love summer knits, but nothing beats fall and winter wool knits. So this is a nice break for my hands, and it's been really fun. Look at how pretty this fabric looks. I think this is gonna be a great color on me. And oh, let me talk about the sizing. So I mentioned how the Ingrid sweater is an oversized sweater. I am knitting size extra small, which in this pattern is Petite Knit's smallest size available. It's intended to be worn with 8 inches of positive ease. Size extra small, if I meet gauge, should give me 7 inches of positive ease. I am kind of in between size extra small and small for most petite knit patterns. Usually I opt for small, but with this one, according to the measurements of the sweater, if I knit size small, it would have 10 inches of positive ease on me. And I think I've learned from knitting just like a handful of sweaters over the past year or two that 10 inches of positive ease is a little bit too much for me from what I like to wear and how I like to style my knits. So I think the 7 inches of positive ease will be a better fit for me. That's still pretty oversized. And I do intend to make some modifications to make sure the length isn't too long on me. I don't really want this to be like not only wide but also long. I kind of want it to be wide and cropped, and I don't really want to end up in the situation where I knit all of the charts to pattern, and then when I get to the last charted section, maybe it's already long enough and then I like shrink the last section and then the sections look disproportionate. So I want to make sure my sections look proportionate, so I'm planning on shrinking each section of the pattern by just a little bit. Now I haven't done that yet with the back yoke. I think I'm just going to keep the pattern as written for all of the yoke part that's knit flat, like before I join at the underarm, just because I don't want to modify it too much where I have to regrade a bunch of portions, especially when picking up for the sleeves. So I think I'm going to keep the yoke as is in the pattern, but then when I just get to the body, that's when I'll start shrinking the motifs just a little bit. I am using 4.5mm needles to meet gauge. The pattern suggests 4mm needles. I do also intend to modify the neckline of this pattern. I'm just not the biggest fan of the double ribbed neckline with like the eyelets in the middle, and it is a single layer, just not my style. So I think I'm gonna do a folded 1x1 ribbed neckline. I've seen a bunch of people on Instagram do that neckline, and I think it looks really nice. So that's my intent for that. Ingrid sweater, so fun, so cute. All right, last petite knit project of today's episode. This is the Sevilla Blouse, and it's one of Petite Knit's latest pattern releases. It's a summer sweater knit out of Èze Palette and Èze Trio 1 held together. It's a drop shoulder sweater, features a boat neckline, and has kind of like a relaxed fit. I am knitting mine out of the suggested yarns. I got some of the Èze palette in the color Ink. This is a chainette 100% cotton yarn. And then I also got Èze Trio 1, also in the color Ink. This is a lace weight blend of linen, cotton, and lyocell. I am knitting size extra small for myself. It is intended to be worn with 3 1/4 inches of positive ease. Again, similar to the Ingrid sweater, I was kind of in between sizes with this sweater. Going down to size extra small should give me about 2.5 inches of positive ease, whereas going up to size small would give me 4 1/4 inches of positive ease. Actually, 4.5 inches of positive ease. And with the drop shoulder design, I feel like I'm opting more for less positive ease rather than too much positive ease. Another interesting thing I have found with knitting some drop shoulder designs recently, T number 1, although it's a saddle shoulder, it still has like the drop of the shoulder. And then also with what other pattern? Oh, the stick season sweater that I knit over the past winter and spring. Those ones I opted to go up a size when I was kind of in between the sizes rather than size down. And even though these are measurements based off of my full bust circumference, I find that I think my shoulders are like narrower than standard sizing suggests. So like, based on my full bust circumference, I think my shoulder across length, my shoulder width should be like 16 inches, but I've measured my shoulders from point to point and they're actually like 14 inches. So I definitely have narrow shoulders. And I find with drop shoulder sweaters, because of my narrow shoulders, even though I have the correct amount of positive ease around my full bust, the drop of the shoulder comes down longer than what is seen on the sample photos of the pattern. And although that's not always a bad thing, depending on how much more positive ease it has based on like my shoulder point, I find it can start to look a little bit frumpy if like the drop shoulder goes too long. And I want to try to avoid that going forward. So I think opting for sizing down when I'm between sizes on a drop shoulder sweater is a better option for me rather than going up. I feel like in the past I've had drop shoulder sweaters where there's not enough positive ease and then it kind of bunches at the underarms and looks a little weird, which has caused me to think that more positive ease is better, but now I'm going back and reversing. So we'll let you know how this pattern turns out by going down a size rather than up a size. But I have cast on. There is really not too much to show in terms of knitting. This construction, once reading through the pattern, it's very basic. So the back, you start with the back panel for the drop shoulder and it's just a rectangle. There's no angling, there's no short rows to angle the shoulders. So it's just you cast on and then you knit. And so that's where I am at now. You can kind of see the fabric. I feel like holding it up with the sunlight coming in, it looks kind of see-through, but from afar, and I know my blocked swatch, it's not really that see-through, like you can see here. Even holding it up on my skin, it's not that bad. So I think it's more exaggerated when I hold it up in the air. But that's what it looks like. This is very cottony feeling. It is kind of stiff and rough. It has no stretch when I'm like knitting with the yarn. I am knitting this with 5.5mm needles to meet gauge. So it is a pretty like chunky knit compared to like a lot of fingering weight summer patterns that I've been working on recently. I'll be honest, I have not worked on this as much as I have wanted to in the past few weeks. My hands have really been struggling with some of the stiff yarns like the pure silk and the cotton and linen here. So I've just been trying to take more breaks, been working on projects like the Ingrid sweater just to, get my hands a little bit more relaxed. So I haven't really knit on this too much. We'll see if my hands feel, not as tired to pick up the 100% cotton and the linen blend. All right, now we'll get into some new projects. I have 2 new projects to share. They are both crochet projects and they do also fall into acquisitions because I have new yarn that I have not showed you guys yet. So I'm super excited to be working on a new crochet bag. I have actually crocheted, I went through a phase where I crocheted a lot of bags, and it was actually a phase that was pre-knee knits on YouTube, so it was kind of just me doing my own thing. I don't have too much content on those projects, but I really enjoyed it, and I guess I kind of took a break from that. No specific reason why, just like the waves of what I'm interested in my craft life, and the wave is back. The crochet bag itch is back. So I chose a pattern by by Two of Wands. I love all of her bag patterns. If you're looking for a good, cute, modern bag pattern, definitely check out Two of Wands because she has a lot of great patterns. And there's a newer release from her, not new this summer, it might have been from last summer, and it's called the Èze Basket Bag. I was drawn to this bag because it seems very sturdy. I was looking for a bag that kind of mimicked like a summer straw or rattan bag, and I wasn't really interested in like the crochet mesh bags, didn't really want to do a granny square bag. And this one, it just looks very clean and polished. I really like the size of it. I think I could easily use it as either a purse that can fit like my book, my iPad, my knitting if I want to, or like a project bag, or even just like a summer beach bag. I really love crocheting bags. I feel like the crocheting stitch and the construction of crochet is just really well suited for sturdy bags. There are plenty of knit bag patterns that I definitely love the look of, but I just keep thinking of the practicality of a knit fabric in a bag, and I just picture it stretching to no end. And so crochet bags, I just feel like have a little bit more sturdiness, and this one definitely looks like it'll withhold a lot of weight. I ended up ordering the kit from lionbrand.com. They were having a sale. I really love Lion Brand's like summer yarns, like their cottons are really nice. I've talked a lot about 24/7 cotton, which is one of my favorite sort of home accessory yarns to crochet with. And I ordered the same color that is in the sample photos of the pattern. This is the color Hay Bale. It's sort of like a brown, kind of olivey, green undertone brown. It definitely looks like that sort of like straw color. And 24/7 cotton is a worsted weight. This is a mercerized cotton, so it goes through some sort of like chemical treatment to give it more sturdiness. It makes it a little bit shiny, and this yarn feels very like, it's not stiff and crunchy, but it definitely feels firm and sturdy. The pattern calls for a 5mm crochet hook. I'm using my Clover Amour hooks, which are my favorite. I was very grateful to be able to fish these out of our moving boxes that are still at our new house. The floors have been finished. We're just sort of taking our time setting up the furniture. I think we've gotten kind of comfortable living here at my parents' house. They've been very gracious with sharing their space with us, and so since we've been here for so long, it's like, why not stay here a little bit longer and not feel rushed to set up all the furniture and unpack. So that's exciting, but yes, still here. But yeah, I was able to find my crochet hooks, which was awesome because I was really eager to start this project. I did order the yarn, so it shipped. It wasn't in my yarn stash since I can't access most of my yarn stash, which is sad, but Lion Brand kits, when you buy the yarn, you get the pattern for free, which is a great deal, and they're always running sales. I don't think I've ever bought yarn from lionbrand.com full price, so if you're like looking at the kits or something, always wait a week and they'll probably have a sale where you can get like 30% off or something, which is what I did for this. So I have started the project. This is crocheted in spiral rounds. You start with the base, and then you make the base, and then you start doing the sides, and you just keep going around. It's mostly single crochet and spike stitches. I've never done a spike stitch before, but reading the pattern, it doesn't seem too hard to figure out. I think it's sort of based off of a single crochet. But I didn't even realize that this yarn in the pattern is held double. So I think that's why I thought the bag looked so sturdy, because I am knitting with this worsted weight cotton that is pretty sturdy feeling to begin with, and then holding it double, but still using a 5mm hook. So it's very tight, it's very dense. You can see how sturdy that looks. Pretty minimal stretch, which is awesome. Definitely what I like to see. And yeah, it's been fun to get into. I forget about how tricky it is, or how different it is to count crochet stitches rather than knit stitches. I mean, with knitting, all the loops are on the needle, so it's super easy to just count them, but with crocheting, you're just sort of working in free space, and if you forget what you're counting in your head, it's a little bit trickier to backtrack, but nothing too crazy. I didn't bother gauge swatching for the bag. I thought it would be fine just to start with the recommended hook. I'll probably, once I'm done crocheting the base, I will measure it just to make sure I'm not wildly off from the pattern, but that's a nice thing with accessories like this. It doesn't have to be super specific with gauge. I am planning on making a few mods to this pattern. I kind of want to try attaching separate handles to the bag rather than crocheting the handles. I think that'll just give it like a more polished look. I don't really know exactly what handles I'm going to get. I've been browsing Etsy, probably will see what Amazon has just for maybe brown leather handles would be cute, and just sewing them on. And I also think I want to put in like a base in the bag when it's done. Again, I think you can just get those at like Amazon or something, just like purse bases that maybe it's like a rectangle of cardboard that's probably like sewn into a piece of fabric just to make it more aesthetic for a bag, but it'll just go on the inside and give the bottom like more of a flat base rather than something that might sag when it gets filled with stuff. So I'll keep you all posted on that. Just ideas in my head, but nothing, I haven't purchased anything yet for that. There's my Èze Basket Bag, super cute. I am really excited to share that I've always really enjoyed Lion Brand yarns. You know, I use them a lot in my early sort of crafting journey. I'm excited to get back in their yarns, and I do have an affiliate link with them. So if you're interested in any of the Lion Brand kits, you can shop with my link in the description. I get a small proceed from the sale. So if you're interested in supporting me, feel free to do that, and thank you in advance if you choose to do that. And my last project that I'm sharing today is also a crochet project. It is also with a Lion Brand cotton, and it is Lion Brand Cotton 24/7 DK. The pattern that I'm starting is the Whiteshell Tank by Janine Miska. I have been eyeing this tank for a while. Janine Miska, I've always really loved her pattern designs. She does both knit and crochet patterns. I own her Modern Crochet Sweaters book. It's just a beautiful book with a lot of designs. I just can never crochet a full garment for myself. I don't know why I can't. It's nothing about the patterns. I think just with me doing that much crocheting for one piece is just like a lot of energy for me. So I feel like with a tank top, I think maybe I can do it. And I want to do it because this is such a beautiful design. It's a high neckline, sort of wide strap tank top. It's bra friendly and has this beautiful sort of textured all over stitch. And it's crocheted out of this Lion Brand 24/7 Cotton DK, which I have not tried before. I've been a fan of the 24/7 regular or the worsted weight yarn for a while, and then they came out with this. I saw a lot of pattern designers sort of making patterns with this yarn, and I was kind of intrigued because I thought it was the exact same as the worsted weight yarn, but just DK. But these are completely different yarns in my opinion, so I feel like the label is misleading. I should get the label for this one. Okay, here we go. I got my extra yarn. So you can see the labels. They're exactly the same. So I feel like if a yarn brand is advertising that their yarns are from the same line, that it should be the same yarn. This is not the same yarn. So I mentioned that 24/7 cotton is a mercerized cotton, but 24/7 cotton DK is not mercerized. This is just a regular cotton, and it has a regular sort of 4-ply twist. It's just like a standard cotton yarn, which I think is a little bit more applicable to garments. I feel like mercerized cotton, I wouldn't really want that sort of like stiff shininess on like a fabric on my skin. That's why I use it for home accessories, but this just regular cotton seems like a much more applicable yarn for garments. And they're both 100% cotton, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. Hello, Editing Amy here. I needed to film this real quickly while editing. It's literally late at night and the bathroom has the best lighting, so here I am. I had to cut out a whole clip about me talking about how 24/7 cotton worsted is a chainette yarn and 24/7 cotton DK is a regular plied yarn, and that was another major difference that I wanted to discuss. However, I have since learned that that was incorrect. 24/7 cotton is not chainette yarn. It's actually a cable plied yarn, which is a method of plying that twists the plies in opposite directions to create a stronger fiber, and it also creates this more complex structure in the yarn strand that you hopefully can see here. In comparison to 24/7 cotton DK, which is just like a regularly plied yarn that has the more familiar smooth twist. So I just wanted to come in and clarify that. I had to cut out that whole part of the video where I talked about this being a chainette. I do know in a previous video I wrote that this was a chainette yarn. That was incorrect, so I apologize for that misinformation. However, I still think the difference in plying of these two yarns still makes them very different, and I still wouldn't want to have the same label on these two yarns just because of how they behave and feel. So in 24/7 cotton DK, this is a 100-gram ball. You get 273 yards or 250 meters. It definitely feels like a bit more of a sport weight rather than a DK. Cotton is denser than wool, so compared to a 100% wool that's DK of the same yardage and the same weight, this is going to be thinner just by the density of the fiber. And I'll just show you the difference here. So you can see the difference in thickness between the worsted weight and the DK. The worsted weight 24/7 cotton, there are 186 yards or 170 meters in the 100-gram ball. The yarn is very soft. I will admit it's not as soft as a Pima cotton. I still think Pima cotton is a little bit superior to this cotton here in terms of softness, but that doesn't mean this isn't wearable. It does feel very smooth. It feels like a cotton. It's 100% cotton, but it doesn't feel stiff. So I like that. It feels very flexible. It has been a breeze to crochet with. So I have my gauge swatch for the Whiteshell Tank. I really like how this pattern, it tells you exactly how to gauge swatch. Like there's a little chunk in the pattern that says for the swatch and it says what to do. So this was the gauge swatch that it produced. You can see the stitch texture. It just looks really nice. I like how it looks. And you can imagine it in an entire tank. I think it's gonna be super cute. And the hook that I'm using, I just started with the suggested hook size. This is a 3.75 millimeter hook, and I have yet to block this swatch. I need to block it and then measure it to see if my gauge is good. But the fabric has a lot of flexibility. Even though crochet is naturally like a dense fabric, I feel like this fabric doesn't feel super dense, which is nice. You can see it's very flexible. It does feel very like smooth, and I feel like it'll be a good fabric to wear. This is the color Cameo, which is this light pink, and I'm really excited to start this tank. I haven't really crocheted a tank top like this ever. I have crocheted one other tank top before, so excited to get this going. Obviously got to block my swatch, see how that turns out. But yeah, really excited to have some variety with my projects and see how this one turns out. I like the color. I'm not convinced, or I'm not really sure if this is like a really great color for me. I think it'll look good. What do you guys think? I don't think it's gonna be a bad color. I'm just wondering if it is like a good color for me per se. But in the topic of that, I am excited to share that I have booked an appointment for a professional color analysis. There is someone close to Boston where they do the whole thing in person. I'm super excited to do it. I've kind of been like putting aside some funds to be able to afford it because it is like kind of an expensive commitment, but I think it'll be really fun. I'm excited to keep you all in the loop with how that goes and share my results. I think it'll answer some questions that I have in my head, because sometimes there are colors where I'm like, yeah, I know that's my color. But then there are other colors where I'm like, I don't know if that's my color. And then of course there are colors where I'm like, yeah, I don't look good in that color. But so really excited to see what the professional says. Maybe it'll be interesting. Maybe they'll say something that I have no idea is true. And then I'll have to debate whether or not it was a good opinion or not. So I would like to film that. We'll see how that goes. I've never like filmed something that I've done with another person. So we'll see if that turns out to be like a viable video or not. Regardless of if the process is a good video, I will definitely be sharing my results with you all. So you can look forward to that if you've been interested in seeing that, because I know that was one of my goals for this year, was to get a color analysis. So maybe she'll say if this is my color or not. Either way, I'm still making the tank top. So those are all of my projects. Really fun time talking about them. You can see there's still so much to talk about, even though it's only been like 7 days since my last podcast. What do you guys think about the more frequent weekly podcasts? I have been toying with the idea. I haven't committed to it yet, but I might. Maybe not committing to every single week. Like if there is nothing to talk about one week, I'm not gonna force myself to film. I think it's fun. I think it's like a better way to keep up with the projects in real time. Sometimes I find 2 weeks it's like too long and then you forget what you're working on. But I don't know, let me know what you guys think. I have some exciting stuff coming up. I should be able to film another podcast next week and then upload that. We do have some travel for some weddings, and we're also traveling for Flock, which I am super excited for. I feel like it just came so quickly. Like Flock was always in the distance, and now August is just next month. So super excited for Flock. If you are going, let me know. Feel free to send me like a DM on Instagram. Would love to meet you all, and don't be afraid to say hi. If you have any Seattle suggestions, let me know. Definitely trying to do what I can that's touristy outside of the Flock Festival hours. I have also signed up for a class with Sari Nordland on Sunday. So if you're signed up for the Sari Nordland cables class on Sunday, you will see me there. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to meet Sari. I feel like I'm gonna fangirl so hard, but really excited for that class and really excited for the festival and really excited to travel. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to me chat about my projects, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Bye.